Good morning, Kyle Cabral. How are you, brother?
I'm good, man. How about you?
Good, good. Last time I saw you, I believe we were either at a property or we were at the South Coast Real Estate Investors. That's where we originally met, and it was actually Ron Bowling was lending to you at the time, right?
Yep, exactly.
Excellent. So where have you? And he was lending to you at 8%, which, by the way, great job. That is I still laugh at him. It's one of our inside jokes. Is we still borrow at 12, and I'm like, Ron, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's I took advantage of him when I could, and that was the last time of that, but it worked out well.
That's it. He quickly was like, yeah, I'm just gonna do my own thing.
Yep.
So how have you guys been doing? I see your signs everywhere. I see you growing, expanding. I know you use the same property manager as us. She says you guys are doing awesome. So what started you into real estate investing, and where are you now, and then where are you going? So we'll start with how'd you get started in it?
Uh, like everyone else, 2015, I worked at Meditech in Fall River. So I did the IT thing for a while. Then my partner, Tony Santos, well, I have two partners now, but my partner at the time, we have one part, it was just me and him. He was always on the road. He worked for Clear Result, Mass Save. He was like an inspector for the installation services, things like that. And it worked out well because he would always drive to properties. I'm like, hey, Tony, I was on the computer all day. So I look at obsessive over MLS for sale by owners and hey, Tony, drive here. So we drive an hour, go take a look at the property. And then I started gaining a little traction. I'm like, hey, dude, I hate my job. I'm done with this. I just want to do real estate all the time. And he's like, I'm in the same boat, man. So we got obsessive and we started picking up like flips here and there. We do the work ourselves. We started getting rentals of Wareham. And then as soon as we had enough passive cash flow where we could survive, that's when we just both quit our jobs. I think it was about 3 years ago this month. So
Nice. Now, when you say passive cash flow, are you referring from the rentals or from the flips?
no, I don't, honestly, I don't like flips in terms of, when I say passive, it's your little machine, your vending machine. So I look at that as our rentals and just our rentals.
Nice. Now, I got to assume that when you switched over to property management, you ended up losing a little bit of that cash flow. So you had to buy more properties, fair to say?
Yes. Yep. Exactly. But I put a value on my time. So when I look at cash flow, it may have been negative in the net operating income, but positive in my time and the value that I could get. So I always looked at it like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It makes sense because one of my mentors says something very similar. So where are you guys now? What is your main stream of income, and how many rentals, how many flips are you doing at a time?
Yeah.
What does your business look like?
Yeah, so I want to say we have five flips going on right now. And then we have, no, four flips, and then we have, I think, three larger, like when I say larger, like 5, 6 family buildings that are being stabilized right now in terms of getting fixed up. We're refinancing, getting it stabilized, and then moving on from that. So yeah, I mean, that's where we're currently at right now. But in terms of like what we're doing, so we own an installation company as well. So everything has always been about real estate. So when we started the installation company, the idea was to vertically integrate. So we also started construction companies. But so how we thought about it was, hey, everyone's buying at 70%. We don't want to buy at 70%. The LTV, I mean, our 70%, where we want to buy at 72% to be a little bit more aggressive. So how can we beat other people out? And our first thought was, let's start a construction company. And then we have a really good relationship with a contractor. So that way we can control costs and potentially profit that way. It was always to try to beat everyone else out. And then Tony has installation experience. So Mass Save program, you can go in, let's say insulate whatever, 3-family building, 4-family building. You can get the incentives are crazy. So it's 100%. So you can get a house insulated for 15 grand. The consumer pays $0. So I know the margins were crazy because Tony dealt with that for a long time. So my idea was, okay, we buy a property, we make money on the flip because we're already buying at 72. Then we make money on the construction end of it. And it was not really making money on it. It was more just to make it more competitive so we can buy at a higher price. And then in addition to that, we'd insulate the house and the margin's crazy there. So it was always for that reason. So we kind of stretch ourselves thin doing that. So we're not doing too much of the construction side. So now we're just primarily focusing on acquiring units and our installation business, because installation business is just, I mean, there were projects we would flip and we'd make like $5,000, or we lose money because things happen. We've done over 100 deals in terms of either wholesaling or buying rental properties or buying and flipping. And for anyone that says they've never made a mistake or they've never lost money or whatever, I just don't believe you.
Right.
So because you got to learn, you got to
Yeah.
take what you, and they're lost money in 6 months, 48 hours. Okay. So something doesn't make sense here. So we decided to kind of part ways with the kind of the construction piece. It's still active, but right now its primary focus is installation, growing that, scaling it, and also just our passion is real estate units. So.
Yeah, I love it. That is, very similar to my story. We ran a property management company for a little while, about 6 months, and we realized this is not moving us in the direction we want to go in. We've done the same with toying around with the idea of a construction company, and fortunately have never gone and done it. You're a perfect example of what happens. You actually make more money doing what you do. Like we stuck with the brokerage, right? We just are very good at transacting. We're an acquisitions company like yourself. And so how do you practice acquisitions more? Help other people acquire. And it's worked well for us. We just help other people acquire things that we would never buy, right? We just look at them first. And we're like, oh, okay, not our thing.
Right.
And like you said, if you're willing to buy at a higher margin, well, we have tons of investors willing to pay just a little more than us because they haven't been in the game and need that little extra property. So I love that. And I said the same thing to one of my mentors a while back. I said, look, I'm looking to pay full price for your properties. I just don't know how to do it yet. So give me some time.
Exactly. Exactly. That's definitely the path I want to get to, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you've got a great machine that you're building, so you can actually acquire more rental properties. You can acquire more flips. And now you found that you do the flips because they actually make a lot of money, right? The flips are actually really good active income. The wholesale is great active income. And now the rental properties, they do bring cash flow. Like we agree that they do, but as long as there's debt on these properties, the cash flow is not as large as it could be. And one day, the whole reason in all of this is 20, 30 years from now, you have all these things paid off and your cash flow is insane. It's like getting actually 10 or 2 on each building. How many units are you at now? And how many units are you looking to acquire?
So we're at about, I think we're at 75 or 80. I can't remember the exact number. We have a bunch in
Becky's job.
Yeah, Becky's job. We use Becky, and we also use Dylan in New Bedford. Yep. So we're at that number, but we like 5 units, 6 units, but we're actually looking into larger spaces now. We actually don't really like 5s and 6s anymore. What we're trying to do, and my partner Mike, so we brought on another partner Mike for kind of his financial expertise, and we talk about it all the time. It's like I don't know, it's easier. The bigger you get, the easier it becomes. So. Yeah. Look into these properties, you're stabilizing over 6-7 months, and you're making whatever, a few grand those first 6 months, and it takes about a year for it to stabilize, and then you can reap the benefits of the cash flow and the depreciation, all that stuff. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, why don't we just buy a bigger building and just raise money? So right now, like, the thing that we're looking into now is, so we have a property manager. Property manager is Becky and Dylan. We have a project manager, Baron, on staff. We have an acquisition guy that just combs through leads all day. And now my primary role is we'll cherry pick deals where a flip makes sense, like 80. If on paper, this never ever actually happens, but if on paper it says $80,000 profit, I can understand that I'm probably going to make 50 or 60. But like, that's my number. If it says on paper before we actually do the project, it says 80, then we'll probably cherry pick that deal. But right now we're trying to actually wholesale more of these things out. So that's the model. But what my job is right now, since like we have the acquisition guy, project manager, like I'm looking at mobile home parks. Like that's my thing now. Because it just self-fulfilling, and it works itself out, and there's not much overage and overhead, and it's just a machine that just keeps on giving. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now.
It's where Sam Zell is. It's where Warren Buffett's buying. They don't sell their mobile home parks. They sell their other assets, but those they keep stacking up.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. It's funny you say it. I've been looking at them. Well, Brandon Turner started years ago, and now
Right.
all of us are like, oh shit! Now I see what he's looking at.
Yeah.
'Cause he went
Yeah.
and did the 24 unit buildings. He went and he went in that direction.
Yeah.
So very cool. So where are you looking for mobile home parks? You looking locally? You looking at the south?
Nationally, and it doesn't matter. Like to me, it's specifically what I'm looking at is things that have sewer systems, municipal sewer and municipal water,
Yep.
that have a healthy mixture of park-owned homes versus resident-owned homes.
Yeah.
Things I want occupancy to be at your 60-70% margin, because right now I think we missed the boat a little bit, but it's still there. Like in my opinion, it's there's still a healthy inventory of, because mobile home parks back in the day, where they were owned by primarily people, like they're just
Right.
not corporations, right? And there's still a healthy amount of that. But when Brandon Turner hit it like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, like he was in the perfect spot just to buy everything.
Yeah.
So it's still there. So that we're every day, that's what I do. I just like obsessive email brokers from everywhere. I was just talking to some guy in New Mexico yesterday. I'm like, yeah, those numbers look good. Can you send me the details on it? And then I'll go through my due diligence process and just pump out LOIs. And then after the LOI gets accepted, and that point, then I have time to actually like
Yep.
really dig into the numbers. So
Yeah. So what is your acquisitions goal for the mobile homes? Tough to say because you haven't closed one yet,
yeah.
but what would,
I would love to have one by then this year in terms of 50 plus. I don't want anything under 50.
yeah.
So by December of this year, I want 50. So one park. Next year, I want to be aggressive and hit 200, 250 additional units.
Nice.
And then I'll be happy with that.
Right.
And I don't think it's that, like, I actually think it's easier than what we're doing now.
Yeah.
So it's just a mindset.
I think you're right. The raising capital, right? So we all raise capital. Well, not all of us, right? Some people
Right.
actually just go and do their job to raise capital. But the raising of capital on a 50 unit project, even if you're paying, say, 3 million for it, 3 or 4 million for it, that is, well, 50 units. No, so you're closer to 2 to 3 million for that, right? That raise is $500,000. That's easier to come up with than, well, 50 is easy, but I'd say that 100, 120, 130, 150, like that for a good sized 6 family or a good sized 8 unit, that is like, man, I almost would have rather raised a little more for the amount
Right.
of headache I got to go into now, because you are raising for the renovations, right?
Exactly. It's so true. I laugh all the time. I'm like, so Tony and Mike, I'm like, dude, we've been able to raise like $30,000, $40,000 on secondary notes for like forever on our flips. I'm like, and it's kind of like the worst investment someone can have. Like, it's just
Right.
not something that's attractive to investors. And I've had people come to me like, that's just not enough money. I don't want to give you 30 grand. What does that do for me?
Right.
And it's true, but we've been able to do it for a long time now. I'm like, if we've been able to do that, like raising $500,000 should be really, really easy.
Right.
So
And it's funny you say it, right? Because so many times I teach a class called Get the Money, and so many times investors are like, man, like, how do I get that money? It's like, dude, all you need is 20 grand. Like, you're just bringing 10%, and the renovations are covered by the lender. So
Right.
like, this isn't much. Like,
No, right.
you're not breaking the bank here. In fact, there are investors who are like, yeah, 30 grand's not worth my time. Like call me when you need a bunch. And so it's cool to see that you're at that level, you're past that level. And trust me, the $500,000, we haven't raised $500,000 yet. We haven't needed to, right? So a lot of our products are very similar sized. And
Yeah.
the max I think that we've ever had out in private money is around 300,000, but that was a lot of projects.
Right.
And so but trust me, man, like when you start looking for more, it's like everybody's got $100,000. Like I don't know why I started with the 20s and 30s, because literally, like, and Kyle, I'm telling you this right now, but I'm thinking it for myself. I'm like, dude, why don't I do bigger deals more often? Like, why aren't there more big deals that we're doing? And it's just they're not really here, like locally.
I love that you said that. Like I was obsessed with the idea of like my whole, because I do have like I feel. Our partners me, Mike, and Tony all agree. It's like we want to do something in our backyard, right? Like we love to improve our community, specifically Fall River and New Bedford. We're more on the New Bedford side. I know you're on the Fall River side, but like Fall River and New Bedford, it's like they're like cousins, right? So like improve. We see I do see some promise there, but then it gets into, if you want to make numbers work here on the larger stuff, like you have to be proficient and you have to take a lot of time to learn about tax credits and yes, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And the numbers just don't pencil out when you're trying to do something, especially in today's market. So like
Yep.
you can just sit here and just hope, or you can try, you have to branch out and do so that's what we decided to do, is branch out and
Yeah.
figure something else out.
Yeah, because I mean, you look at, so we got two options here, right? One, you got new build. You go outside the city to a nice big lot and a new build, or you've got a rehab of a mill, right? We got plenty of mills sitting around that are vacant. Nobody knows what to do with them, and everybody's pitching, like you said, tax credits. Well, you can go minimum housing, and you can go high-end housing. What is it? Market rate housing, and you can get a little bit of historical credits. And if you jam all this together, and you're in an opportunity zone, so if you got some gains from some of your flips,
Right.
you kind of twist it all together, and you still got to raise another $2 million.
Exactly. And then the time it takes for you to analyze that properly and do correct pro forma, forget about it.
And you're paying an architect, and all of this construction, and you're into this now 18 months. You're into this 2 years. And that whole time, like, you missed out on, a dozen deals or 2 dozen deals. It's really like, dude, I could just go buy a mobile home park. Or
exactly. Exactly.
Or I've been looking at Texas, and I've been looking at Tampa, and it's like, dude, like, they have these 12-unit buildings that they just built, like 10 of them, right, in one area. And so this guy owns 4, that guy owns 4, that guy owns 4, and they're all in a row, little packages. And it's like, okay, I'm paying like $60,000 a unit. Well, market values, they're saying it's like $80,000 a unit, but you figure maybe I can get that, like you said, 72% off, 72%, and you're paying $60,000, $50,000 a unit. It's like, I'd rather do that. Like, why are there so, like, you look at LoopNet here, just in Massachusetts, there's like nothing, right?
Exactly.
But you look at LoopNet and pick one state, any state in the South, and they've got 100 listings like residential homes. It's like absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, like I'm on CREXI and LoopNet on the daily. Like it's all like, because I know up here, like you said, its inventory is so tight. As soon as something comes up, first of all, it's probably going to be an off-market deal where the broker already has its relationships up here. Once it hits LoopNet, it's probably trash. But I'm seeing like in the southern states and where there's a lot more inventory down there, you will have a straggler in there where the numbers make sense. So like, It's just about just looking at it daily. So.
Exactly. So what you just said, for anybody who's doing bigger deals, you're probably not going to buy on LoopNet or what is the name of it? I can't remember.
CREXI.
CREXI, which is another one of the big commercial brokerages. You're not going to find them on there. You're going to find the agents who find them. The other one's Marcus and Millichap. Right? These are the big brokerages, and they've got all the connections, but the stuff they put online is not the good deal. It's the stuff that they have offline. So one of my coaches is Charlie Dobbins. Have you heard of Charlie?
I haven't, no.
Charles Dobbins he's known for syndication. He's known for he's a local guy. He's a local guy who does a bunch of big deals. At one point, I think he had 900 units. And I was like, all right, I'll sign up. Like, sign me up for that.
Right.
That's more units than I've had. So you're on the right path.
Right.
And he says it. He's like, dude, like you can't, there's no, like open up, look at MLS, look at Rhode Island, look at Mass, not there. Shift it down, pick Florida, Texas, Georgia. It's like, you could pick cities in those states and there's more.
Yeah.
And then he said, just like you said, it's the brokers off market, right?
Yeah.
It's not like mailing, because these are bigger buildings, sophisticated investors. They're good at hiding themselves, not because they don't want offers. They're hiding themselves because they've got a lot of tenants.
Yeah, exactly.
So the broker's the one who's able to find them. It's not like the marketing campaigns we run up here. So what success are you having with it? And like, how quickly do you want, I know you want to buy one this year, but how quickly do you think is really possible? Do you think you could do it faster?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer in that. Like, when you obsess over things, and it's a healthy obsession, and you do it every single day, like you move water pretty quickly. Like, so things happen, things start to culminate, and things start to work itself out. So like, if I say it's end of this year, it's going to be end of this year. It's not even a question. And I get, the only person that gets in my way is myself. Pretty much it. So yeah, no, I definitely think you do it faster. Like I was just talking to my partner, Mike. He's doing this. I did an analysis on a mobile home park, actually in New England. And I want to get an LOI out today. So I'm just having him just double check my work. And then once that happens, like I'm going to pump that out. There's one in Oklahoma that the numbers make sense. So I'm going to pump that out. And when I buy it, when I actually close on it, do I know what the hell to do? Nope, but I'll figure it out. Like,
yep.
Yeah. So
like the first one.
Right. I'll figure it out. So like, well, I'm looking, and this is not more on the installation company and the real estate stuff. It's 2020, right? So you have so many resources like what we're doing right now with Zoom and talking to you, and it's everything. Like I'm sure you've read the 4-Hour Work Week and things like that. So it's just so easy to run businesses from thousands of miles away, even a property management business or a real estate flipping business or virtual wholesaling, whatever. It's very easy. It's just you have to create those systems.
Yeah.
So.
I absolutely agree. How did you, speaking of systems, so this is one that I'm struggling with. How did you find a good project manager, somebody to run their flips?
That's a great question. So this was a networking type thing, and both on the installation side and the real estate side. The people that have worked out the best are people that have randomly come up to us. So we know someone that knows someone. We've had horrible, like, because right now we have in the installation side, we have more work than we can handle. We need to hire more people, but we go on the glass doors and all that crap. It's just hard to find someone. But for the project management side, it was a buddy that he used to do consulting, but he was kind of tired of it. He's 50, probably in the early 50s. He came up, he said, "Hey guys, I know what you guys are doing. I would like to be part of it." And he's amazing. Like he's amazing, but like it just randomly came about.
So maybe that's a mistake we've all made, right? We're going to contractor saying, "Hey, can you do this for me?"
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I love it. That's good advice. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, no. Yeah, and it was the same thing with the acquisition side. Like, yeah, I was, because it's the project manager side. Obviously, I'm sure you have the same experience in the beginning when you're doing it yourself. You always say, "Oh, 90 days to flip, 90 days to sell, in and out in 6 months." Never. It just never happens. Like, I don't care. It just doesn't happen. And then because because we know what we're trying to do, and and I don't care who you are, you'll slack it. You try to find the easy way around. When you teach someone else your expectations and you have it clearly defined, then things start opening up and you start being more efficient. Timelines start to shave off, and by hiring us is the best. Well, I think we pay him 55 grand a year, but we definitely save that every year just on the daily interest we lost for going over. Like, you know, that 1 month of extra $2,500 in interest costs, we just shaved off a month. So.
Yep. Yeah, it's absolutely true. So you look at the amount of savings just on the carrying costs, right? Just on the carrying costs alone of one flip or two flips. Now he's running 4 for you all at once.
Exactly.
It's definitely, so he's not doing the work himself, right? That's one of the things you don't expect is he's just there babysitting, making sure everybody knows what they're doing and keeping the flow going.
Yeah. And negotiating deals, negotiating contracts, right? So like, instead of being a yes man, all right, this guy gave us a $3,000 quote. His job is to go look for another option at $2,000. So now you saved $1,000 on the hard cost. So like things like that.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of savings in the time and in that just babysitting, just making sure the work is actually getting done, making sure that a contract doesn't leave with, deposit. All things that you used to do is done now by somebody else. It's and like I can't stress this enough. One thing that never shows up on paper is your time. Like how much is your hourly rate, right? And like, because it allows you to open up and look at those, like those mobile home pro formas or those other deal pro formas. So like, how do you calculate that? You can't really calculate it. It's hard, but just know it's there. It's like a magic number. It's one of those pieces where, like you said, if you're not, it's the opportunity cost, right? If you're not looking at all these deals, it's hard to say that time was worth anything until that deal closes. And especially when you're in a role like you're in right now, you're in a research role, that first deal is not a true value of how much time you actually spent, because a lot of it was learning, because your next deal happens like that. Your next deal happens like that. So you almost have to tie it into multiple deals. So you won't know what your time was worth until after it's been spent.
100%. Yep. So, agreed.
That's the calculation. That's why it's weird. Because it's like, I need that future number to know what this is worth.
Yeah.
And that could be years from now before you finally go back and be like, oh shoot, like I was working for $1,000 an hour. Like that's legitimate what those hours were.
Right. 100%.
I
But
love
yeah,
it.
man.
Yeah, great catching up with you, man. So much value. Before I let you go, I gotta ask the three questions, the three pieces of advice that if you go back to 20-year-old Kyle, would be the most valuable piece of advice for you to give yourself. We got a lot of wholesalers, we got a lot of investors, flippers, large landlords who are watching this. And what piece of advice would get you to where you are faster, happier, more stress-free, just enjoying yourself even more? I know you love your life every day, but how could you get it to the next level if you'd started, say, at 20 years old? What piece of advice would you have listened to if you went back and gave it to yourself? Three pieces.
Three pieces of advice. That's a good question. Is stop overthinking. Like, so you don't get lost in analysis paralysis. Just there is so much value in just doing and not knowing what you're doing and falling on your face, right? So like, and then picking yourself back up and compounding your knowledge, and you have to want to you have to want to fix your mistakes, and then take those mistakes, learn from them, and then slowly gain day by day. Two, don't expect I forgot who said this. I think it was Buffett. Is you overestimate what you can do in 1 year, you underestimate what you can do in 10. So really kind of live by that. And like it's really hard to see what you're doing right now. But like shit, like if I look at my life today versus was 3 years ago, in a 3 year span, I did a lot, but I feel like I'm not doing anything. Every single day I feel that way. So that's that. And number three is, don't be afraid to talk to people and just really. And actually, no, I'm gonna say this: put value in your. I say there's no such thing as work-life balance, but like you want to be fulfilled. You want to put more value in fulfillment than money, in my opinion. So like, just do whatever is going to make you happy more than anything, and go for that. And then the money, I'm sure, will come. Like I still don't have as much money as I want, but I know it's going to get there if I try to leave a fulfilling life. So that's a 3 pieces of advice.
Yeah, I love that. And I should have asked this before, but where do you think the economy is going right now? What are you guys doing to prepare for it?
My opinion is going to shit. So like, it just nothing makes sense right now. Like none of it makes sense, right? We're the perfect time right now for your typical fall off of your typical cycle. I mean, we're actually probably a year or two past it, and then Trump being Trump, and the Republican Party just kind of lifting it up for a second. Then Corona happens, and you have these 600 weekly payments, which whatever just went to 200. But that's definitely inflating these things in buying power, purchasing power in America. So people are still spending. I bet everyone that's making that $600 is probably spending the majority of it.
Yep.
I don't know. Yeah, it's gone. So, and I'd be shocked. And the other thing is I called, because we have a couple staffing agencies that work with us. And it's funny because like we're dying for employees on the installation side. And I was like, hey, I haven't seen an applicant in a while. What's going on? like Kyle, this is very strange. It's record high unemployment, like the worst since the Great Depression, but record low, like the lowest job in the people in the workforce right now looking for jobs. So none of it makes sense. So
Right.
my expectation is that we're going to see something pretty bad in the next couple of months.
A big snap.
Yeah, and I would say 6 months to 12 months. That's my guess. I don't know, but that's what we're preparing for. Like, so every time we look at a deal now, I look at the ARV, I multiply it by 85%, and then I apply the 72% just to protect myself.
Yep.
And I'm kind of slowing the roll on acquisition of the flipping side. I'm being much tighter because when it goes to shit, I just want to be there to catch it.
Yep. Yeah, we feel the same way. So yeah, great assessment. The quantitative easing is going to drive it insane. My biggest concern is that the multifamilies are actually going to do very well. I think that commercial, retail, office, those things are crushed. But I think that multifamily will actually do very well. And I'm not sold on single families falling apart yet. I think that the single family market if foreclosures can't even happen right now, so they still got another year after that. So your assessment is accurate, plus a year on the single families, and all the other pieces of real estate done. I think multifamily will have a weak spot. There'll be a soft spot. But when I think about who has all the money right now, it's all the business owners. It's all the guys who are collecting, convenience stores, the little mom and pop shops that are collecting money from those people who got their extra $600 a week. They have money that they've never had, and now they're sitting looking, well, what should I do with it? And I think they're going to start buying multifamilies.
Right. Yeah.
So there will be a drop off in the multis because there's a ton of guys who don't want it right now.
Right.
But I think we're going to also see this inverted inflation on the other side of it, where all the values go up for the only reason is that there's too much money in the system. So it's
I guess it's gonna be really interesting because like I don't know, like in 07, 08, you had 10 million, and then I think it was a year period that had 10 million evictions that came through the pipelines in America. But like now with coronavirus and like this whole backlog of evictions, they're anticipating like double that in a shorter period of time. So what that does to purchasing power, I have no clue. But like I agree with you when you say like for example, mobile home parks and multifamilies, they're very resistant to market cycles anyway. Like even in 08, like you didn't really see rent decline like you did with the single family space. So that's why it's a safe investment. That's why I like rentals, and that's why I like the idea of mobile home parks. But we'll see.
Yeah, Kyle, I like the idea of mobile home parks too. If you ever raise for a syndication out there, let us know. We may jump in on something like that. So you find a park that's a little too big to take down, we may jump in and partner up with you guys. I love these interviews because I get to see people who are doing really well, successful people, especially since you guys are right in our backyard.
Right.
Yeah, we love seeing your signs, love seeing your success. So I'll tell Ron you said hi.
I will. Thank you, man.
Kyle, keep up the good work, man. If you ever need anything, we're a stone throw away. Let's keep each other going. So cheers to your success. When you have a choice, always work with the best.
All right. Thanks, Walter.
Later, Kyle. Oh, Kyle, before I drop off, how can people find out more about you if they want to send you cash to do deals with, and if they want to send you properties, say the wholesalers want to send you a property, or if they just want to get their house insulated? What's the easiest way to contact you guys?
Yeah, so c2senergy.com, C2, Kyle buys houses, C2S buys houses, c2sdevelopment.com, and my email, kyle@c2sdevelopment.com. Whatever, you can find us, just message us on Facebook and just reach out to us.
Awesome. Very good, Kyle.
Cheers, man. Thanks. See you, man.
Later.